Hola, hello everyone, and welcome to our Sage celebration. We are delighted you could join us today. This event is an opportunity to join together, acknowledge the support, engagement, and contributions of so many of you, and to honor two incredible champions. I am Gilberto Pineda, board member with Promo, and your MC for this afternoon. First, I'd like to let you know that don't forget to visit the chat for links and information about events happening this month. Now, we are going to start with some opening remarks from Sheila Holm at AARP, the presenting sponsor for today's event, and longtime friend of Promo. AARP and Sheila are tireless advocates for the older adults in our community, and we are deeply grateful. Sheila, welcome.
Thank you, Gilberto. It is a great honor to be here once again, at least virtually, at Sage Celebration. So, give a little background on AARP. In case you don't know, our mission is to empower people to live as they want as they age. And for over 60 years, AARP continues to advocate and support adults across the country. And we fight for issues important to people 50 plus, like affordable and accessible health care and drug benefits, ensuring we have financial security as we age through efforts on Social Security and retirement savings, caregiving support through resources and advocacy efforts on the national and state level, and helping communities create or expand services to support people of all ages, including housing, transportation, and civic engagement. We do a lot, but we don't do it alone. And that's the great thing. And is something that I want to share is that we actually partner on a national and local level with SAGE. And so our reach is big. So let's just bring it back to St. Louis, though. Summer of 2012, last Pride at Tower Grove, well, last St. Louis Pride at Tower Grove, and someone comes up to my booth and introduces themselves, and who is it? It's Cheryl Whalen. First time I met her, and first time that AARP locally had been at Pride. So boy, was that a momentous occasion. And little did I know that chance meeting, well, I don't think it was chance, I think it was premeditated, but that opportunity, that meeting really impacted the work that we continue to do here in St. Louis. And I am truly eternally grateful to actually SAGE, now SAGE of Promo Fund, for opening doors for us so that we can be more inclusive and accepting on a local level. So I went off script a little bit there, but it's just been an honor to be associated with this organization. And so fast forward 9 years, and yep, we're still engaged with the organization. And while it's been virtual for the last 18 months, we're really looking forward to reconnecting in person in 2022. And whether it's through promoting local programming, helping out with advocacy efforts, or partnership opportunities such as this. So big things to come, I am sure. So for the remainder, just to give you a little more idea of other things that we're doing for the remainder of 2021 and 2022, we have the great privilege of being the sponsor of Gateway to Pride through the Missouri History Museum. And this is an amazing one. It's amazing, period, that we're doing this, but two, that this is an opportunity for us to not only share stories, but continue to collect. And whether they're oral stories or artifacts, there's an opportunity for people to really expand the breadth of the LGBT community here in St. Louis. The other thing that we're doing is actually going to happen on Tuesday, is we have a partnership with StoryCorps, and we're doing a program that's called, I want to make sure I get it right here, Listening Out Loud, a celebration of LGBTQ voices. And this is targeted, the stories are from people 50 plus. We have some from St. Louis area, and then others from across the country. So it's going to be a really cool opportunity to hear a diverse selection of stories. One of the cool things is that, so the person I mentioned earlier, Cheryl Whalen, is going to be one of our featured individuals on this, as well as Stephen Brawley, who many of you know, who's a LGBT historian here in the St. Louis area. So we're very fortunate to have them to be part of the program. So there's still opportunity to register. It's free. All you have to do is click the link that I know is popping up in chat somewhere and register. You don't want to miss it. It's from 6 o'clock to 6:45. It's a different platform from this, but it will be fun. It'll be engaging, and I hope you don't miss it. And then my final thing is I just want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to not only be able to partner with Sage of Promo Fund, but to be included in this celebration. And it is, I really look forward. So I really hate virtual. Okay. But I like seeing you guys that I see, but I really look forward to doing things in person next year, and look forward to the opportunity of new partnership opportunities with Sage of Promo Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And thank you, AARP. Now I'm even more proud of having my AARP card and being a member. And don't forget, if you just joined, to please visit the chat so you can get links and information about what's going on with St. Louis Gateway to Pride exhibit, as well as the AARP St. Louis and StoryCorps present Listening Out Loud, a celebration of LGBTQ voices, which is this Tuesday, October 12th at 6 p.m. Now, Sheila mentioned that the importance older adults have in contributing to our communities and how crucial it is to strive for quality of life as we age. Promo and AARP share those values. Sage at Promo Fund has been striving to enhance the quality of life of LGBT older adults through service, advocacy, and community awareness for more than a decade. This works and our programs would not have been possible without partners, friends, and champions like you. While we had all hope that 2021 would be a better year than 2020, for many of us, it was just as difficult. More time away from those we care about, more distance, and even more uncertainty and confusion. We are so glad you are joining us here today. We know it was not easy. What moves us all deeply is that many of you aren't just showing up here today, but you have been showing up all year long, attending our Sage Lunch and Learns and Promo virtual programming. With your help in 2021, Sage of Promo Fund has done three things. Has engaged with over 16 organizations and 180 professionals on LGBT inclusive practices in aging care. Called 153 members to connect with resources during our Sage community calls. Started the virtual work of supporting and informing Missouri State Aging Plan intentionally, including the needs of our LGBT aging community. Bravo. But we know this work isn't done alone. It takes thousands of champions and advocates to advance the quality of life of LGBT older adults in Missouri. And today, we get to honor two of those champions, Kyler Brodis and Dr. Holly Baggett. Now, if you allow me, I will take a second to introduce Kyler W. Brodis. Kyler W. Brodis is a Black man of trans experience that has been a pioneer in the movement of LGBT, transgender, and non-binary movements as an attorney, longtime activist, public speaker, author, and professor. Brodis is known worldwide for his pioneering body of work. He has extensive policy, political, and legal experience in movement building, stewardship, and leadership. Brodis has done policy and legal work and has been in the political arena since his early teen years. Now, in 2012, he was the first known person of trans experience to testify before the U.S. Senate on behalf of the Employment Discrimination Act. He's worked on many other pieces of legislation on the federal, state, and local levels. Further, he's litigated cases and has had input on major cases impacting the movement. He served in several appointed positions and on various boards. Kyler considers himself to be a servant leader, and to make changes in as many ways possible so the world will be a better place. He is the founder of Trans People of Color Coalition, better known as TPOCC, which is an organization that centers the work of trans people at the intersection of race. This year, he was also awarded the James Baldwin Award by the National Black Justice Coalition and will be awarded the Spirit of Justice Award by GLAAD this October. Welcome, Kyler.
Thank you, I gotta unmute myself. How about that? So, thank you, Gilberto. I really appreciate you and your introduction and the spirit you bring to this. You're wonderful. So, thank you very much. I also want to thank Sage Promo Fund for doing this event. And I also want to thank the AARP, which I get to work with and have worked with as well, for what they bring, which is a lot. So thank you very much. And I'm honored to be here. It's an honor when you're honored by the people, your peers. And I'm a Missourian always at heart, no matter where I am or what I'm doing, and anyone can tell you that. So this honor and award means so much to me because you're doing something right when you're honored by your peers. And I'm getting a little teary because it means something, and I always speak from my heart. So I have to tell you that. I also have to tell you that I was with Privacy Rights Education Fund when it made the change and the name to Promo, and served on the board for I don't know how many years, but quite a few years. So I'm closely connected to this group. And I have to tell you that the work you all do, that we all do, is all important, no matter who you are or what work you're doing, because that's how we rise. That's how we climb. That's how we make change. And that's how we've gotten here. And some of you may not realize that we have made lots of change. It seems like we have a long way to go. But I want to tell you, we've come a long way. And we've climbed many a mountain. And we're going to get there. And we're going to rise even further. And there's something else I have to say to you. That person named Cheryl Whalen, I've known for decades, and she's a wonder. And I have to say that as well. And she brings so much wonder to the world and to work. So I didn't want to forget that part. And this kind of comes out as it is. But I've always seen myself as a servant leader because I came from, because they're no longer with us and haven't been for a while, two parents who are from the Black civil rights movement. And they taught me to be a servant leader. And a servant leader realized being an activist is not about me or oneself. It's about something larger and buying into something larger and bigger than oneself. And that the work is for us all. And that I'm moving with somebody and a bunch of people to move something bigger than oneself. And that's what we're doing. And that when I started in Missouri, and when I went to those prides at Tower Grove Park and the other park as a young person, that I never imagined where I might end up or what I might do. And that's what I always also want to share with you. You never know where your life might lead you. then I began to do law for LGBT people when there weren't lawyers doing law for LGBTQ people, although we didn't have the Q back then. So, and all the letters. And so it's important. And I did most of that pro bono and then worked another job to finance that. So just to give you a little bit about my past. And then all of a sudden I was then working in DC doing work for free there too, which eventually turned into pay work, lobbying on the employment non-discrimination. And then eventually I received a call from Senator Harkin's office and Senator Merkley's office trying to track me down while I was running all over the place, which is what I normally do, doing work, asking me, country boy me, to testify on behalf of the employment discrimination bill because I had been discriminated against in employment, and they heard my story and what I had been through. And by the time they could reach me, because that's usually the case, one, I thought it was a joke until my assistant said, "Oh, no, it's not a joke. They've been trying to reach you for weeks. And now it's a week out and they need you there next week to testify." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I going to say?" And it's really next week and it's not a prank. And then number two, to get those opportunities, which you just don't expect. And then working with the Obama administration in many capacities and impacting many pieces of legislation, as well as many of the court cases, which you've heard of. And whether my name is signed on to those or not, it didn't matter. I had input and impact in this movement. And then to still work with the Biden administration. And the point is that ENDA ended us up, has been really around for years since Bella Abzug's bill in the 1970s till we get to the current bill we have, which of course has just escaped my mind, the Equality Act, which, I was one of the original drafters on the Equality Act. So, and still lobby and work to get the Equality Act passed. And, had things been different last administration, we were in a good position to get that passed. But we're still going to get it done. It made it through the House, and we've never had the House without our push do that. The House did it on its own. So we get these victories, folks, and I want to give you hope in the midst of things that don't look great out there. And that's what I want to say to you. We're all in this together at whatever level. And Sheila said it best. It's like national, local, it all has to work together. There's no kind of tier system to this. If we are not working together, then we are not doing our jobs. And everyone counts. I don't care what you're doing or where you are. We need everyone. Everybody is important in this movement. And it's great to see the diversity. It was great to see Gilberto, and sorry, I've got enunciation. Sadly, I've had severe Bell's palsy, which impacts it because I want to nail his name, because when I started, there was like just me in this state. And it's great to see the diversity across states, across movements, and the intersectionality. And lastly, I'll say my group is TPOC, like Tupac. Gilberto. We didn't talk about that at the beginning, and I should have told you that. People don't pick up on that. So it's not your bad, it's my bad. So, but I'm going to wrap this up. I know I don't have all day to speak. Sadly, I am a lawyer and was a professor, so we could talk all year. But I want to give you a flavor of who I am. And I've gotten to work with the international community on trans stuff. I still do that today, just to give you a little piece of who I am, and more if you don't know me. I am here to get the work done. I am not here for badges or stickers. but it sure is nice to be appreciated in a community when you're an activist. And it sure is nice to get the love from the home crowds when it is. And I just have to tell you that. So thank you. Thank you for the work you all do. And I want to end with somebody that was a mentor, that's always supported the LGBT community that we lost, somebody that was a true champion, and I always love to hear speak, Senator Congressman John Lewis. Let's work together to continue to make good trouble, because that's the only kind of trouble we need to be making. So thank you to you all. Let's keep it up, and let's continue to make that good trouble. I love you all.
Bravo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And don't worry about my name. I'm very proud of the work that we are doing at Promo to ensure that we are inclusive and offer equal protection of the law to all. So thank you so much, Kyla Brodis, and I will continue to make good trouble, as I hope everybody in this call will continue to make good trouble. And by the way, I want to show you, take a second to show you the plaque that it's already labeled with the names of our honorees today. Okay, so moving forward, as I mentioned before, we are deeply grateful for your dedication to this work. So thank you again, Kyla Brodis. And now I'd like to introduce Stephen Brawley, our 2019 Hosteller honoree, who is going to share a little about why this celebration this month are so important. Why our history echoes loudly, and why we all have reasons to be especially proud of where we come from and the legacy that shaped us. Stephen will also introduce our next honoree, Dr. Holly Baggett. Stephen.
Thank you, Gilberto. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be back with my friends and family here at Aarp, Sage and Promo. I've been asked to spend a few moments today kind of reflecting upon LGBTQI History Month, since it is October, and how that came to be and the local ties that made that happen. Many of you may know that a local St. Louis educator back in 1994, Rodney Wilson, is credited and led the effort with other educators across the nation to formally make October officially designated as LGBTQI History Month. Rodney is a great friend of mine, and when he talks about his work, he always, we always remind each other all the time of standing upon each other's shoulders, of legacy building. And so, Rodney always talks about when he was a teacher, what inspired him to think about creating the month. And so he always talked about the creation of Black History Month and Women's History Month as ways that encouraged him to pay homage to the other legacy. So I'm going to spend a few quick minutes kind of talking about the legacy of what led Rodney to what inspired him. And then we'll talk a little bit about Rodney's efforts. Dr. Carter Goodson is credited with founding Black History Month through efforts beginning in 1915 and the creation of Negro History Week in 1926. Since 1976, every US president has officially designated February as Black History Month. And one of the reasons that in part the month was February was chosen was because it was Abraham Lincoln's birthday and Frederick Douglass's birthday. Women's History Month began as a local celebration in Santa Rosa, California in 1978. And the organizers selected the week of March 8th because that corresponded with International Women's Day. It was in 1980 that President Carter issued the first presidential proclamation declaring the week of March 8th as National Women's History Week. And since 1995, Each president, again, has issued an annual proclamation for the month. It was in 1994 that Rodney Wilson led a national effort that other educators across the nation would come together that would establish October as national, at the time, Gay History Month. October was chosen in part because the first national march for lesbian and gay rights occurred in 1979 in October. National Coming Out Day had already been established. And that was on October 11th, which is this coming Monday, is also occurring in October. Wilson came out to his class in Melville during a lesson about the Holocaust. If he had lived in Germany during World War II, he explained to his students, he likely would have been imprisoned and most likely murdered. He made national headlines and was cruelly vilified for both coming out to his students and daring to teach gay history. Good news is he's still teaching in Missouri and active in promoting LGBTQI history. Over the last several years, we've worked hard to make sure that Rodney is getting his due credit for the work in establishing the month. And last year, Rodney and his partner put together an amazing documentary about the process it took to create the month and the struggles, the early days of sort of the month maybe not having the traction that it does now, and how it has come to be this international effort. And it's called Taboo Teaching. So I think they're going to put that in the chat, a link to it on YouTube. Being History Month, maybe take some time to watch the documentary. It's very, very inspiring and educational. And I think it would be a good way to celebrate the month. But I'm more excited about, well, the real reason I hope I'm here is to introduce our next honoree, and that is Dr. Holly Baggett. Holly leads the archives down in Springfield. We have the programs here in St. Louis with the History Project and the State Historical Society and the Missouri History Museum and others. Kansas City also has a project documenting LGBTQI history. So Missouri has three very vibrant LGBTQI history active programs, and so we're very proud of that. And so we're very proud of to be honoring Dr. Baggett for leading the effort down in Springfield. Dr. Baggett received her PhD in 1992 and has taught at Missouri State University for the past 26 years, specializing in American history and women in American history. Dr. Baggett is known for her publications in LGBTQ history in the United States. She recently finished her book, The Buzz and the Sting, Margaret Anderson, Jane Heap, and the Little Review, which is about two lesbians who edited the avant-garde literary journal, The Little Review, from 1914 to 1929. They lived as out lesbians in the early 20th century. In 1915, Anderson was the first lesbian to write a pro-LGBTQ editorial. In her previous book, Dear Tiny Heart, Dr. Baggett edited the love letters but from 1908 through 1949 of Jane Heap and Florence Reynolds. Among her books, she has also published numerous articles on LGBTQ history, including The Creation of a Community, A History of Gay and Lesbian Springfield, Missouri, from 1945 through 2000. Dr. Baggett is the co-founder of Olga, the Ozark Lesbian and Gay Archives, which is housed in the Special Collections and Archives at Missouri State University. Along with records, correspondence, photographs, newspaper clippings, and other materials from various constituencies of the community. The project currently encompasses over 200 oral histories of LGBTQ people of the Ozarks, just an amazing contribution to the archival repository here in Missouri, so important. Numerous researchers have accessed this archive to learn about LGBTQ communities in regional cities, small towns, and rural America. After 26 years of investing in our LGBTQIA plus community in the Ozarks and Missouri, Holly will soon be spending her retirement in her native state of Delaware next year. So we will miss her here in Missouri. I'm sure she'll stay in touch, and if we need her, we can call upon her for her expertise. So Dr. Baggett, it's an honor to introduce you today.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much. Excuse me. Of course, while you were introducing me, I got a message that my battery was low on my laptop. So I had to do that little mishigosh there at the final second. But thank you again, Stephen. And thank you, Sage Promo and AARP, for, I have to say, this very unexpected surprise award. What I'd like to do is talk a little bit about the Olga archives and the people who participated in it, particularly older people who were raised in the 1950s and 60s and 70s in this very conservative region, and what their experience was like and how we've documented and preserved their history. One phrase that comes up again and again in these oral histories, which I've seen in other Midwestern and Southern oral histories, is really the gut-wrenching statement, "I thought I was the only one." People, there were nobody out there, no Ellens, no Will and Grace, nobody, nothing that people could look to that had the experience they were having of same-sex attraction rather than opposite-sex attraction. And the just crushing sense of isolation that people experienced is really heart-wrenching. Also, what's important in the Ozarks is the fact that this is a very conservative religious area, and people went to churches. This is the international headquarters of the Assemblies of God. It's fundamentalist evangelical churches, Southern Baptists, and people growing up obviously got very negative ideas about what being homosexual meant, and really struggled with that. There are certain segments of various oral histories that really stand out to me when I think over them over the years. I've done a fair number of them myself. We've had students do it. We've had community volunteers do it. But I remember one guy in particular that I knew who said that he just cried himself to sleep every night as a teenager, praying to God that people who were in mental hospitals had all sorts of horrible things done to them. I remember one particular oral history where a woman, her mother took her to the doctor, and she was injected with insulin because this doctor believed that that was a cure for being gay. I mean, just incredible things that people went through. Also, other themes, even though Springfield is in the Bible Belt, there was always, going back to the 40s, more than one bar in Springfield, and the coming out process in the Ozarks and going to the bars. And remember, one woman said when she went to a gay bar, she felt she had died and gone to heaven. Also, what's really important in the history of this archive is people who lived through the AIDS experience. People who lived in other places and came back home hoping their families would take care of them and not being taken care of. I remember one oral history in particular where a man came home and his parents said he could stay with them if he slept in the barn. I mean, just incredibly gut-wrenching things. The creation of the AIDS Project of the Ozark, which was a difficult thing to get off the ground, but very soon was a model for the federal government in dealing with AIDS projects in rural America. Various political crises that happened, definitively anti-gay activities that went on by various, the city council, et cetera. And basically through the theme of these oral histories, or something bad happens and the community gets together and organizes as a response, and then something else bad happens and the community gets together in response, and how this community came together. The article I wrote, The Creation of the Community, 1945 to 2011, really shows this pattern, which is an article, by the way, I couldn't have written without these oral histories, shows a pattern of an evolution of a community coming together in response to being attacked. And the foundation of one of the most important responses was the establishment of the Gay and Lesbian Community Center of the Ozarks, GLOW, which was founded 25 years ago this month. It is the longest standing community center in the state of Missouri, which says a lot. I was there that night. I was on the grand opening committee. And there was a lot of fear around it. Should we put our name on the door on the front of the building? No, because we don't want to attack, but we don't want people to have bad responses to that. People we don't want who aren't particularly friendly. Should we invite the press? No. So it was word of mouth through flyers going through the bars, etc. And 200 people showed up that night. And that community center has been so important to the history of this city. We started the Olga archives in 2003 because we were in the middle of a 10-year battle to get sexual orientation into the non-discrimination policy of Missouri State University. We were 6 years into it. We had another 4 years to go. I won't give you the blow-by-blow account, but it was a very ugly, very bitter, very public battle between those of us on campus trying to do this and the president of the university, who referred to us as biological perversions, and the board of governors who stood behind the president year after year after year after year. And a comrade of mine, Ralph Smith, a professor of communication, said, "We need an archive." And at first I wasn't very clear as to what he was talking about. He said, "We need to document what is happening to us on this campus because people in the future are not going to believe it." And so I said, okay. And he very meticulously documented what was happening with us in that particular fight and campaign. And we started to send out missives to the community. Do you have something that you can contribute to us to document our history here in this particular place? And the community response was overwhelming, as Stephen said in his introduction. Letters, photos, playbills, incredible. And somewhere along the line, I don't know, I don't really remember how I got this idea, but I thought we need an oral history project to be part of this archive. And the archive was established 18 years ago. We now have over 200 oral histories. And I'm very proud of that. And what I take away from my experience with these archives is the resilience of the community in the Ozarks, the determination as time went on to be respected. Even people who went through the most horrible things, there's not a sense of bitterness or anger. There's a sense of pride. And as I said, and resilience in coming through this on the other side. We have a black tie event every year in which it's a fundraising event in which the community raises thousands of dollars. They give to us to buy recording equipment, to pay for transcriptions, which are very expensive. So people in the city, in the town and surrounding areas feel very invested in this archive themselves. And I'm very proud of that. As Stephen said, I'm retiring soon and going back to the East Coast, where the living is easy for LGBT people as opposed to the Ozarks. But I always remember my friends and comrades here who did so much work on so many fronts. And I'd like to accept this award from Sage Promo, the Aarp, on behalf of people who made that archive possible and established our history for future generations to see and understand what their forebears went through. I'm very proud. I'm part of everybody in the community. Thank you very much.
Bravo. Bravo. Thank you so much, Dr. Baggett. We are grateful that you and Kyler agreed to be honored today. Just keep thinking about that scenario where somebody that was suffering, dying from AIDS at that time, was told by their family to sleep in a barn. We do have such a long way to go still. Well, your combined gifts and contributions have already made innumerable impacts in our community today and will serve as an important legacy for the future. So once again, thank you, Dr. Baggett. Thank you, Mr. Brodis, for being our honorees today. This work is impossible without champions like you two, and each of you on this goal. Your voices, presence, and perseverance are essential. Amidst continued uncertainty, keep going. Keep making good trouble. We are here for you, and we're so glad you are here for each other. And please don't forget to visit promoonline.org for information about Sage of Promo Fund and to donate. Thank you to our honorees, and thank you to all of you. Have a safe and lovely rest of your weekend. And until next time, I'm Gilberto Pinella. See you.